Hey everyone, Paul C. Torina here, nutritional therapist, Atavist life coach out of Vegas, one of your hosts for this superhuman transformation, and we're here with an in-between-isode. Just to give you a little pep talk and review some of our goals and maybe address some frequently asked questions that we've had over the past couple of weeks. And it's such an honor and a privilege to be in this position and to work with you guys. You know, I don't know. I visit with people all the time, all day, every day. We get people in this current progression that come and sit with us, and they either have great things to share or they need help and they're struggling with some things. And it's just all beautiful and all good. It really is. For those of you experiencing like tremendous benefits and changes and things, and we get a lot of like thank yous and this is amazing and changing my life and just can't speak highly enough of it and things like that. And we don't like to take credit for that because in all honesty, we're just sharing information that we've learned over the years and experimented with and then have experimented with clients with, and we're just nudging you in the right direction. That's all this really is. We're all work in progress for sure, but of course you would expect most of my nutrition and lifestyle factors to be pretty spot on, and they are, I think, relative to people starting out. But I'm always evolving and learning and going through my ups and downs and things like that. But we're here to nudge you in the right direction. That's what we're doing. And then for those of you that are struggling and having a difficult time with everything, like, it's still all good. Like, it really is. Because again, this is a way of life for a lifetime. It's a journey. It's, you read through those first few pages where we talk about what to expect in the hero's journey and the pre-SHT and during SHT, and then implementation after SHT. You have to expect these ups and downs. And this is a very, very, very short time period. Even though 10 weeks feels like a long time, in the grand scheme of life, it's a very short time period. It's actually miraculous that I don't have to sit here and say, hey, here's some guidelines to implement. And by the way, you're not going to experience any changes or benefits from it for 6 months or a year, because we're overcoming years, decades of dysfunction. And it's amazing to me that some people can just get into this and within days start to notice energy level changes and digestion improvements and body composition shifts. But some of us, it's a little bit of a struggle. The implementation part, the mental emotional piece of it, and then also seeing the changes in results. So we totally get that. There's a whole mix of everything going on here, just great experiences, difficult experiences, challenges and difficulties, and it's just all part of the process. And really think about what we're doing here. We kind of complicate things, and we need to. That's part of this progression. We get into it, we have some basic goals, we change things up and we mix things up so that we can continue learning and continue experimenting. But what are we really doing here when you think about it? We're teaching you how to eat real food, not processed food. And we have a pretty broad definition of real food. And within that broad definition, we're teaching you different things that you can learn to experiment with. But it's real food. It really is. It's real food. Meat, fats, vegetables, starches, everything comes from the earth. And there's nothing intuitively, inherently bad about that. Like, it's all good. It really is. If you're having a difficult time implementing real food, it's not the real food that's the problem. And actually, I'd say there's not a problem. It's just that you have an adaptation that you have to go through. You have this transitional experience that you have to go through. And, it's just part of the process for some of us. I've had years to experiment with this and mess with it. And so, of course, you'd expect years down the road that I'm like seeing all these great benefits and I know a lot about it and it's easy for me to implement. And then here we are asking you in a very short time period, weeks, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 10 weeks, to implement some pretty significant changes. It's commendable, that you embark on this and that you go full force and that you put your all into it. And you just got to be patient with the process and understand, like, you're going through a significant, crucial, very important, life-changing experience. And we just have to be patient with the process. Hold on to the good things. The good things that happen to us are cumulative over time. The more that we stick with the foundations, the difficulties and challenges, expectantly look for the learning opportunity and the wisdom to come from those difficulties and challenges, because that's exactly what those things are. Those of us that are having a difficult time with this in any way, we're going to learn more out of it than the people that are having a really easy time. And we're all having difficult times in different areas. So that's where our wisdom comes from. That's where our learning opportunities come from. Because down the road, you're going to be an ambassador for freaking being healthy and feeling amazing. You really are. You're going to be an example without even trying to. You are. And those of us that have challenges and difficulties are going to be wiser in those areas than everybody else. I'm starting to go off on a tangent, but I mean, it's all good. Like, it really is. It's all good. It's all part of this journey and process. We're teaching you how to eat real food, how to spend time outdoors, how to get sun exposure, how to be in touch with the earth, how to spend time with other people, how to meditate, how to sit with your own self and thoughts and learn from those things. Like, all that is great stuff. And if we're having a difficult time with it all, that means we just need to keep messing with it and keep pushing forward with it. Okay. So much love said with that. I hope that comes across. I visited with several people over the past few weeks. And again, everything from just the greatest things in the world happening to like, I'm really, really having a hard time and struggling with it. And it's all good. Like, this is all from the heart. We want nothing but the best for everybody. And let's just keep moving forward with it. Okay. So let's reiterate our goals and the things that we need to focus on. We have one more week until we come back and have another meeting and start to mix things up. So on the food goals, remember, we're doing low carb. Got to make sure this is on. One time I did a presentation that lasted like an hour and a half, and I didn't even have the mic on. I had to redo it. All right, so we're focused on low carb. And remember the 3 reasons that we do low carb. Number 1, we're shocking the body into self-sufficiency. We're nudging the body in this direction of using fat for fuel. That's one of the biggest reasons a lot of us have transitional difficulties. It's so funny because we have most of the veterans that are going through this and doing this a second time or third time or fifth time or sixth time, like, they're all saying, most of them are saying, like, this is so much easier than it was before, and that's because their body's habituated a little bit more to lower carbish and this self-sufficiency concept, and then a lot of the new people are having a little bit longer struggle, and it's all part of the journey and process, but we're nudging the body into self-sufficiency by pulling out all these things that the body can't use easily for glucose and sugar and starch. And so if you're having a difficult time with that, it's not that this is not good for you. We have to do it. Like, we have to do it now, and we have to do it again in the future. It just means that your body's going through an adaptation response. Now, I luckily, am kind of low carb most of the time, not all the time. I mean, I'm going through all kinds of different fasting experiments and ketogenic type stuff, and I don't think that those things are necessarily beneficial for everyone all the time. But in order to communicate this stuff to everyone, I have to experiment with it. But anyway, there's plenty of people that are living proof that you can do low carb and completely function optimally. You can do no food and function optimally and perform optimally. And it all depends on how long you've had to adapt to this process. And so if you're having a difficult time with that, then that just means you just need to keep pushing forward. And if by the end of 2 weeks you haven't seen the clarity and come out of the fog, that means you have to do it again and again and again till it doesn't become that big a deal. So the second reason, I'm going off on a lot of tangents today. The second reason that we want to do this low carb phase is to prove to ourselves that we can do it, that we can go without carbohydrates for a significant period of time, because there's going to be times in the future where we're not going to have access to our optimal, ideal, comfortable things. And so we need to know that we can do that. And then number 3, we have to experiment to see what works for us. And most of us are going to notice as we get through our little transitional period that we feel lean and clean and tight and better energy levels and body composition shifts and all that kind of stuff. And some of us may not. Some of us, it may be a really, really slow progression, but we have to see what works for us. All right. And then also remember that whatever you experience right now is probably not going to be the same thing that you experience in the future, because your body by then is going to have gone through all kinds of different adaptations and changes. And that's, just one of the big rules, the wisdom rules of the body and doing all these different things with nutrition and lifestyle factors is that what works today, what feels a certain way today is not going to feel the same next month, next year, because the body's always going to be changing. So you always have to mix things up and really pay attention to have this awareness component. So remember, during the low carb phase, we can have full fat dairy products, we can have full fat cheeses. Like, we couldn't have that in the past. We had low carb cleanse, which means low carb, no cheese, no dairy, no legumes, nuts, seeds, or any of that stuff. So we've kind of modified things. So you can have full fat dairy stuff as much as you want. Remember that we have one cheat night on the weekends, and you don't have to take that cheat night. If you're feeling great and you're kind of worried about, okay, if I have a little bit of fruit or potatoes or something, then that may trigger me into just like a freaking avalanche of stuff, then just don't do it. If you feel like things are moving well, you don't have to do it. That's an optional piece. And then remember all our tips and hints that we talked about in a previous video. And one of the biggest ones that we've gotten a lot of great feedback on is the MCT oil. The MCT oil, remember, easy to digest, does not go to fat storage at all, only goes to energy, only goes to producing ketones, which the brain can use for energy, the body can use for energy. So I think that's one of the biggest, kind of supplemental things that we can use to help transition through this low carb phase. Now, circadian rhythms, remember, now we have the magical combo for setting sleep patterns and circadian rhythms. And again, this is one of those things. For some people, it happens right away, and for some people, it takes some adaptation time. Now, we just went through a time change shift, and that messed up a lot of us. Like a lot of us were trying to figure out, why the heck am I not sleeping as good? Is it because of the low carb or something like that? Who knows? But I think a big piece of that might be the time change shift. But the best thing that you can do for yourself is that 1-2 punch for circadian rhythm. So now we have the two things that are the most powerful things for setting your hormonal patterns and improving your sleep patterns, and that is getting sun exposure every day, cumulative 30 minutes outdoors, and then also turning off all your stuff at night. And I would say what would be ideal is an hour and a half to 2 hours before bedtime, have an alarm go off and just start to wind down. Like, just stay off of whatever it is that's your thing. Stay off of Facebook, stay off your phone, computers, and all that kind of stuff. And we have a couple of new little tweaks that we're going to implement at this next meeting. But if you do those two things, those are the two most powerful things you can do for your sleep patterns and circadian rhythms. And then also just understand that grounding, even though we're doing it for a lot of benefits, being outdoors, connecting with the earth, we have this exchange with the earth that protects us from electromagnetic radiation and magnetic fields and EMFs and things like that. It's just beneficial in general, but we also see that it also helps to set your sleep patterns and circadian rhythms. And I'm not sure why that is, but I do know that it works. I've done some traveling, and I've flown everywhere from here to Houston to New York to London. And I rarely have jet lag because I'm using these blue light therapy devices. I'm turning off all my stuff at night. And then I'm also grounding every chance I get. And I think that grounding in combination with being in the sun, it just tells your body where you are and what time of day it is, and it helps to set things in a really, really beautiful way. So we've got the recipe for success with the sleep patterns and circadian rhythms. And then, if you're having trouble sleeping too, we've had some reports back on the MGzyme, our magnesium product. Not only is it beneficial because most people are deficient in magnesium, but I think for a lot of people it helps them with sleep patterns just a little bit. On hydration, remember, we are still mineralizing our water. We're still doing the 16 ounces of water in the morning, or the downing of the water in the morning. And then we want to aim for about a half a body weight in ounces every day. That's not going to be a long-term goal, but for the short time period, especially during low carb, let's make sure that we're getting half your body weight in ounces up to 100 ounces per day. And especially with the heat coming in and sweating and people that are athletes and things like that, you always need to do that for the duration of this progression, including mineralizing your water. And then the priming and practice piece. I just cannot emphasize how important this is. It does not require any equipment. All it requires is time. It is probably easier to implement than anything else that we're doing, but perceptually I understand that it's just some kind of a difficult thing or a chore or inconvenience or something like that. But you have to understand that just like with exercise and just like with these other things that we're putting effort into, the benefits that you get out of it far outweigh the small amount of time that you put into it. If I put 15, 20 minutes into my priming and practice in the morning, the benefits I get throughout the rest of my life are just exponential, like it's crazy. And I've had a lot of great private sessions over the past couple of weeks with people in this progression, outside of this progression, where we go sit outside and we practice through these different focuses and we talk about it. And I think there's a real big benefit to sitting and meditating and then coming out of it and talking about it, talking about your experience. Make sure that you understand conceptually what's going on, because when you understand conceptually, it's a little bit easier to implement. And so we've had some really, really great experiences. I think the big takeaway from this is you have to understand, and again, we give you a 3-step process: gratitude, meditate, and vision. You have to understand that if you don't sit down and think about what you want for your life and for your day, then you are reactionary. You are not at cause. You are at effect. All right. You're going to be coming up with excuses why things aren't going the way that you want them to. But if you sit down and you precipitate your intention on the day, meaning that I start the day, I greet the day, I'm there when the sun comes up, and I'm saying, this is what I want for my life. Like, magical things happen. They really do. they look and appear magical, but what's really happening is you're setting an intention with your unconscious mind. So you're changing your filters. You're telling your unconscious mind what to look for in your environment to support the things that you want. And those filters change without you consciously being aware of it. It's just, you start to let potential for all those things that you see in a morning, every morning, into your life. And then all of a sudden magical things start to happen. But the way that starts, nothing can replace the sitting in the morning. And by the way, the sitting in the morning, we call it practice for a reason. It's because it's practice for everyday life. If I can sit there and sit still and have a focus and notice my mind drift and come back to my focus, I'm practicing focus. I'm practicing and cultivating this ability to notice myself get triggered and notice myself get lost and notice myself getting upset for no reason or for a minute, difficult reason or whatever. It's just nothing. You can talk all you want conceptually about all this stuff, but nothing can take the place of the practice in the morning. Okay. So I think that's all we got for today, and this next meeting is going to be great because we're actually going to be reintroducing safe starches and sugars and alcohols, but we're going to be doing it deliberately and methodically, and so we're going to have a testing protocol that we go through, and then also we're going to be pulling out dairy products. So you might want to do a little mental note, prep for that just a little bit. We are going to have the carbs back, but we're going to pull out the dairy products, and then we'll be testing for dairy next time we get together after that. Also, this is so exciting because we're going to be introducing you to strategic fasting, and we're going to talk a lot about it. And fasting is the deal. Like, it is part of the deal. It is a big part of the deal. And you have to understand what's beneficial about it and how to do it properly. And we're going to talk a lot about that at the next meeting. So, and then of course some other great things. So, love you guys so much. We are here to support you. This is all from the heart to you. It's for all of us together. And just give us feedback. Let us know what's going on. Let us know what's working, what's not working. We like all of it because we like the interaction. I love seeing all you guys on a daily basis. I get to see people coming in, going to the gym. People stop by, buying product. I get emails, texts, everything in between, and I just love the interaction because I see each and every one of you as just the most beautiful people in the world. And whether you're having just the most tremendous changes in the world or just having a really difficult time, you're all amazingly beautiful and on this journey and on path and giving it your all and doing the best you can. And I just think it's so beautiful and commendable, and we're here to support you in any way that we can. Okay, we love you guys so much. We really do. All right, thank you so much.